let's do this, shall we? Surely. Let's. Well, one might be asking, what does one need to build one's perfect coffee table? One might be asking. Well, let's find out. You're gonna need wait a minute. Not that, get in there. No, you're gonna need one of the, that's lemon donut with grapes. But, oh yeah, you're gonna need glue and vice grips, one of these thingies. Well, I'll just show you. Can you read that? Basically what you'll need is a hand wood saw. It can be electric if you want. Electric sander or a hand block sander. Elmer's glue or Elmer's wood glue. 2 pounds or 10 pounds, 2 of each, weights. And total time is about 2 hours, I guess, to assemble it, and from start to scratch. So, wait, don't look at me. Went down to the hardware store. This piece of wood is very inexpensive. It costs $15. It's 3 yards long. It's white pine. You can do it any size you want, any type of wood you want. And it costs $15, and the legs, which I spaced apart very artistically, not just square, is $6 each. And then all you need is the glue. You'll need a sander. Usually I would sand the edges. I did cut the corners off on that. Baby proof or child proof the furniture for those evenings or brunches that I have 3 glasses of wine instead of 2. So I'm going to show you how this is done. This is not as simple. It's just cut. It's really wobbly there, and I'll show you how to put it together. Well, let's do this, shall we? Surely. If you're like me, like most women, with at least 50% equal woman part brain, then you want things to fit properly, like coffee tables and side tables. They're either usually too long, too short, or too wide. So, being fed up with listening to men and coffee tables that don't fit, I decided to make my own. It took me about 45 minutes, I guess, to cut the wood. The sweat level here is pretty minimal. You can do the whole thing in an hour and a half, 2 hours. It takes very few tools. Might want to warm up your hands. Get to work on your eye-hand coordination. And you get that side table that fits just perfectly and for inexpensive. This piece of wood is... Okay, let's get this party started. I've got a throw. I used it for the sawing when I sawed the table in half. This table is approximately 1.5 yards. The difficult part is arranging the legs in the way you want them. I arranged the legs not in a square, but kind of diagonally, so you can use them as to lean things. You really can't see it from this angle, really, but getting them in the placement that you want, it looks good, but still is MacGyver. I mean, it's according to physics, it's going to do the job. It's going to hold the top. You can actually throw a couple pillows on this when it's not being used as a small coffee table and use it as a stool or bench. So the reason that's difficult is because this is not glued yet. And all these legs, once you've got the legs in place, you have to put them in place separately, kind of eyeballing it, and then placing this on top, sort of like stacking dominoes without knocking everything over. And then you'll notice that inside you're going to have to even it up and move this one forward or that one back, so you've got to kind of lift up on this while moving this without disturbing the other three. So it's a little tricky, and it's still, while you're trying to, when you've got everything in place, getting this on top where it looks square and it's even up without knocking this thing down is a challenge too. So that may be you'll be working on your eye and hand coordination and your perspectives, I guess. So I've drawn a line around once I've placed it, and this looks good to me, I left it here on a flat surface. Mine is micro, it's thin, 1.5 yards long. The legs are your standard legs for a coffee stand or a nightstand at your local hardware store. But once I've laid it on top, this is very light but very strong. It's the way of the future is micro flats, and this is micro furniture that I'm making. If I can't move it, usually with furniture, I won't have it in my home. I can't move it by myself, so I keep it as light as I can. So the trick is I drew a line around the shape of each one of these legs here, and now I'm just going to lift the top like that. Then if you'll notice, see the hole? Now I can lift it up. Don't bump it. You don't want to knock these down, because it's got an outline already drawn of the shape. But you'll notice the hole at the top. Now usually these come with metal in them, a screw at the top that you screw into the wood or whatever, but you don't want that. You don't want any hardware in making furniture. The best furniture in the world is done by Elmers glue or wood glue. So that's why you need the vice grips. This will lock into place so you can unscrew these metal things. Then you want to make sure that the foot of this is rough, and also the top to make sure it's rough. Got a rough surface, and also this. And if not, if you need to roughen it up, then get a little bit of sandpaper, roughen it up. But you do want it dust free, you don't want it wet or anything like that. You dust them off, both sides. Now, when we apply the glue, we're going to apply it in a circular motion on the foot. We're going to circular motion on the foot and also on the bottom of the platform. Now the idea is not to use too much. If you use too much and there's a bunch of glob of glue coming out once you've pressed it down, then it won't hold. It will not hold. The amount of glue that you want is just enough where when you press it down, maybe just a little bit will seep out the sides. Don't wipe it off. We'll let it dry in a little bubble thingy. Then you can later come back, break it off easily with a little pocket knife or a fingernail file. So you want to apply the glue, and then on both surfaces, a round little circle there, a little round circle on the foot. Then you want to line up it with your marks, and you want to press it in and then hold it. And kind of work it around a little bit, and then pull it up, let it breathe for a while. Go do something. You want it, it'll get a little tacky. Right? And you'll do this for each one of these, and then you set it back in place and then go to the next one. This is proof that one doesn't have to be Jesus in order to be a good carpenter. What I'm doing now is I'm letting the glue dry a little bit to let it get sticky for the surface of the wood and also the feet of each leg. This one's already in place and it's already starting to adhere. Would not be surprised how strong Elmer's glue is in wood. This thing will last forever. Back to you, Susan. They want about that much glue on the foot of the leg, and then you want about that much glue inside the drawn portion, and then stick it on there like this. It'll slip around a little bit, but hold it. Try not to let it slip. Work it around a little bit. It'll be oozing a little bit at the bottom. Then pull it up. And you want it to wait a little bit. You want it to get sticky on both sides. It'll get sticky, let the air get to it. Wait for about, I don't know, 3 minutes, something like that. 3 to 5 minutes, and then come back and then stick it down there again. And any excess that comes to the bottom, don't wipe it off, leave it, or you will regret it. And then go around and do it to each one of the bottoms, and then we'll take it from there, shall we? Surely, let's. The glue is in place. You want to put the lid back on top. It doesn't have to be real straight now because we're not going to worry about that. You don't want it to dry. You don't want it, before you put the legs back on, you don't want it to dry too much. Because if it dries too much, if it goes beyond the sticky part, before you put the legs back on, then it won't hold. So now that's when we take our weights. We put 10 pounds on very gently, 5 or 10 pounds on one side. Then we take 5 or 10 pounds and put it on the other side, directly on top of the legs. It's very important. Now don't move it. This has to stay here for at least 24 to 48 hours. And it's called setting. And if it's undisturbed, if you don't have children or pets, then, or clumsy spouses, you'd have to kill them first. Because you can't move this during this process. It can be bumped. And 24 to 48 hours, this thing will be so solid, it'll last forever. And when this is set for 24 hours, the bottom with the weights undisturbed, then come back and do the tops. Same procedure. Exactly. The hardest part in doing that, the top, is aligning it up where you're going to have to eyeball it, kind of stand above it to make sure that the bottom equals the bottom and the top are equal. They're square. They're not off center. You know, the top is not too far forward or too far backwards. So that's kind of rough and something to be careful of when you're doing this part of the top, because you don't want to disturb this. You don't want to bump these at all while you're doing the top. Do not bump these. And then for the first, I don't know, month, you should be kind of ginger with it. Because it'll set and continue to set over the years, and the more weight on it, the more better it is. More better, yeah. So I hope you enjoy your coffee thing, side table. I'm really gonna enjoy mine. I like things that fit properly. Hey, turn this fucker. There's a final note on this great little coffee table. Now I'm going to paint mine. I'm going to paint it antique gold, but you can adorn the top with enamel. I mean anything, tiles,
fake flooring or whatever, you know, you put on the linoleum tiles for countertops or whatever. It could be marble. And then do whatever you want. I'm going to paint mine antique gold and then add rhinestones, of course. So that's a good thing to do, is to make things fit at home. Because, like Judy said, there's no place like home. There's no place like home.